Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. We hope that you and your family are healthy. The lesson is going to get started in just a minute. We want to give folks a little bit more time to join in. While we wait, let me tell you a little bit more about us. Emerald Bay Outdoor Academy is a curriculum based outdoor science camp for school groups, and we're located on Catalina Island. We are a program of the nonprofit Western Los Angeles County Council of the Boy Scouts of America. As we go through the lesson, please feel free to put any questions in the comments. Some of the questions will be answered in the chat, and others will be answered live at the end of the lesson. All right, I think we're ready to get started now.
Hi, everybody. On behalf of Emerald Bay Outdoor Academy, welcome to our live broadcast. I'm Tyrell, coming to you live from the Emerald Garden here at Camp Emerald Bay on Catalina Island, off the coast of Southern California. Today, we're going to talk about plants. Now, you've no doubt seen many different types of plants that are all around you, species and whatnot. Have you ever taken the time to wonder why all plants don't look the same? That is because, think about it, why they don't look the same. And that is because after many, many generations, these plants go through changes to get themselves better suited with their environment. These changes we call adaptations. Every living thing experiences this, but the adaptations we're talking about are with our native plants here at Catalina Island. So let's talk about this. Catalina Island, as many of you might not know, actually sprouted out of the Pacific Ocean. When it first emerged from the ocean, there was no land plants on it. It had never been attached to the main land. But if you look around Catalina Island here, and especially in our garden, you'll see that there is a diversity of plants now. We have over 400 native plants on Catalina Island. Now, a native species that introduces itself to an environment without being taken there by man on the island. Our endemic species is categorized as one that can only be found in one particular part of the earth, and no one is that. Today we're going to be talking about the adaptation of the plants here in the Catalina Garden. So if you follow me, we'll go to our first endemic plant. The Catalina bush mallow, as you can see, has these dark green leaves when it's flourishing after times of heavy rainfall, like in wet winter, early spring, which we've recently had. So now it's flourishing. This but this plant has the ability to drop its leaves and go dormant, known as being drought deciduous. This plant in a hot condition or during a drought will actually be able to shed all its leaves, appearing to be dead. Here we have the California coastal sagebrush. Now, some plants, like the California coastal sagebrush, you see, has these aromatic leaves that smell very nice. They don't taste good, though. These aromatic leaves have a special adaptation in that when evaporating the oils, it cools down the plant, much like our body's ability to sweat. Over here, I take you to another endemic plant, which is chamise. Now, this plant's adaptation, like many others here and around, have these smaller leaves. The smaller leaves are important because it lets there be less surface area for evaporation to happen. Now, I'm going to take you down and show you two of my favorite plants here on Catalina Island. Both of them are endemic. This is St. Catherine's lace. Now you'll notice this plant has fuzzy or hairy leaves like on it. Now these small hairs of fuzz here actually is able to produce shade for the leaf, blocking out sunlight, helping it maintain its moisture levels. The other thing to notice about St. Catherine's lace is the very light colors of the leaf. They're either light green or even almost gray. This helps the plant reflect sunlight. And much like when you wear a light colored t-shirt versus a black t-shirt on a hot summer day. Now, my second favorite plant here is the Catalina Live Forever. Now, this plant is very well suited for handling drought, hence its name. But if you see, it has these very succulent, fleshy leaves. They have the ability to retain water in them and then use it very sparingly throughout a drought. Now, we're going to have a walk. You're going to have to be patient with me. We're going all the way over here to our cacti. This is the coastal prickly pear. Now, as you'll see, the coastal prickly pear has a lot of these thorns, spines as we call them. These are actually the leaf of the cactus. Now, they're far more than just a defense for the plant. You wouldn't think it by looking at the size of them, but the amount that this has actually is able to provide shade for the cactus. Also, they have large stems in which they can store water for sustained droughts. Over here, I'll give you another Catalina endemic. The island mountain mahogany. Now, the island mountain mahogany has these evergreen leaves. They're very thick, almost leather-like, but also you'll see how shiny they are. This comes from them having these small waxy cuticles that have the ability to trap water. Other plants modify their root systems, like that of the oak and the toyon, with what's called a taproot. The taproot has the ability to go deep underground and tap into the underground water. Another plant that has this adaptation is my favorite, the St. Catherine's lace, but it's different from the taproot. It spreads its roots laterally, and it is far more adept to picking up surface water like that from fog and light rainfall, early dew. Um, the root adaptations are more commonplace in the dominant plant communities of Catalina Island, like our island chaparral and our coastal sage shrub. The characteristics of a coastal sage shrub are that it grows on south-facing slopes, it's aromatic, it's drought deciduous, but it is built to sustain shorter droughts in summertime, not yearly long multi-droughts that occur with weather changes. Now, island chaparral sets itself apart from the coastal sage shrub with its having longer, woodier-like branches that have more so of a tree. Well, we're going to go over to another tree here. And we're going uphill. Here we have a Catalina ironwood. The Catalina ironwood may seem obvious, but it is able to sprout back up. We know these to be resprouters. So its adaptations is within its root. If a fire comes and burns down this tree, it's able to regenerate itself by having large amounts of energy stored into its root. These fire adaptations makes it a very resilient plant. Also like it, but with a different mechanism, is the Catalina manzanita. The Catalina manzanita is known as a cedar it is able to produce a seed that if the plant burns down, these seeds are set to only germinate in the course of a fire, allowing afterwards it to resprout in the wake of the disaster. Picture the aftermath. The ground is charred, covered in ash, and only the plant structure remains. With this in mind, we're going to take another poll. Why would some plants become more adapt to need a fire in order for their seeds to grow? After a fire, there is less competition for space, sunlight, giving new seedlings a better chance at surviving. In this sense, fire can actually be beneficial for an ecosystem when it occurs naturally. Old dead plant material can build up in a dry climate and cloud an area. It blocks the sunlight from down to the ground. Fires clear the dead material and speed up decomposition to both return nutrients and minerals to the soil and create access to space and sunlight for fresh sprouts. Certain species, known as fire followers, due to their tendency to go dormant until after a fire. Fire burns whatever's in its path. If a non-invasive species has proliferated an area, then the fire burns them away, allowing native plants like the Catalina manzaniti or the ironwood to recome and retake their area. A controlled fire is a technique used by land managers, but controlled fires can burn out of control and it can greatly damage any plants in a nearby area that do not have the fire restorative properties. Although fires are generally beneficial, it takes years for these ecosystems to fully recover after burning, and there can be negative consequences if they occur too often. If a cedar doesn't have time to reach maturity and drop its seeds, it takes years for these seeds to be able to germinate under dead foliage. If the fire happens too quickly, it'll just burn these seeds away. In the count of the ironwood, as we mentioned, if a fire comes and it burns it, it'll resprout. But it can only do this if it has a chance to reach its maturity. If the fires occur too frequently, it too will get wiped out due to being depleted of energy. Under natural conditions, fire in our chaparral communities occur only once every 30 to 50 years. But due to humans, we've now had over 300 fires on Catalina in the past 100 years, less than 10 of them starting naturally. Which brings me to other means of defenseless plants. What really sets our plants apart from their mainland cousins is that here on Catalina Island, they were allowed to grow and thrive for thousands, if not millions of years without fear of being eaten up by predators, which are herbivores to the plant. Here on Catalina Island, our largest herbivore that's native was a ground squirrel. So the plants didn't have to worry about becoming a salad. They spent their energy reproducing themselves and building fire adaptations. Now, those of you that are familiar with Catalina Island, you probably know about our bison and our deer. You might have even heard stories about the goats and the boars too. It's important to know that these mega herbivores were only brought to Catalina within the past 150 years. The people who brought these animals here didn't have a clue how devastating it would be to plants that didn't have a chance to build up their defenses for them, such as thorns, poison, and bitter tasting. So the deer and the bison, the boars, the goats, they were able to ransack the island, causing some species to almost go extinct. One thing we can do to protect the plants from these mega herbivores are build enclosures. Now, back several years ago on Catalina, there was a large fire that burnt over 10% of the island. The scorching of it put a lot of plants into danger, so we started building exclosures. Now, exclosures, unlike enclosures, are built to keep things out. Have you happened to see any exclosures here at Emerald Bay? Well, I'm standing in one right now. Deer and bison exclosures, like we have around the garden, allow us to bring plants here and redevelop devastated populations and keep native species safe. We're going to go ahead and open this section up to some questions.
So give folks at home a moment. First question: did you say that thorns are on the pear cactus were its leaves?
Yes.
Okay, and the next question, I'll go ahead and answer this one. Do you know any other plants that have taproots? And a couple of examples on Catalina Island, the Channel Island poppy is another native plant example, and then there are also some invasive species on Catalina, like fennel, that also have taproots.
Now we might start to have some signal issues. We've got some strong winds and a very light rain coming in.
I got another question coming in. It'll just be a moment. Next question: does the coastal sagebrush smell like the same stuff in the desert?
You know, it's been a while since I've smelt the desert sagebrush, where I used to say myself, but I believe that this one has a slighter, sweeter aroma to it.
Okay, next question: how did you get the ironwood into the enclosure? Was it planted?
The ironwood was planted in the enclosure, but all the species here can be found naturally occurring around Camp Emerald Bay.
Great. We'll just give another moment for any answers to come or questions to come through here. But it looks like we're at the end, Tyrell.
All right. Well, that's all the time. If we didn't get a chance to answer any of your questions, I would strongly encourage you to go ahead, go online, do your own research, and find the answer for yourself. But on behalf of Emerald Bay Outdoor Academy, we hope to see you next time, and goodbye.
Thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoyed learning about native plants. If you would like to make a donation to help us continue to serve youth near and far, please follow the donation link in the comments. We greatly appreciate your support. Make sure to follow and like our Facebook page to hear about future lessons. Have a great day.